This is another reading of Lord Mayor, page 3150. Chapter heading is Fiery Free Life, and we're in the middle of the chapter. Baba then related two incidents to elucidate quite uncommon, yet most effective ways of the masters. One about the Sadguru Dada Duniwala of Saikhed, and the other about Maulana Sahib. A person approached Dada Duniwala without the intention of deriving any spiritual benefits from him, but knowing full well the inner 100% spiritual preparedness of the man. Dada Duniwali just took a stick from the Duni and struck him so hard that the person fell on the ground unconscious.
Mm.
All who were standing nearby ran away out of fear. For 3 days, the man remained in the same state, and on the fourth day, he was found gross conscious and had realization too, and then dropped his body. Now, about Maulana Sahib, one Hindu doctor who was not spiritually minded went to him. Maulana Sahib, to the surprise of all, asked him to sit by the side of the wall where he himself was living. The doctor implicitly obeyed the order and did not leave that place for nearly 3 years. By the end of this period, the doctor got realization, and after 3 or 4 days, he dropped his body. Inscrutable are the ways of the perfect masters. Some masters give realization to those in whom they notice 100% spiritual preparedness. Some masters get this 100% preparedness done by the persons before they give them realization. And some masters pay more importance to connections in past lives. Even the Maha Yogis of the fourth plane, the Walis of the fifth plane, and peers of the sixth plane can give a great spiritual push if they happen to focus their spiritual power or force, tawajuh, on a stone. And if a perfect master wills it, he can make anyone or anything realize God. Baba left for Mirzad in the evening. On the morning of Monday, 3 November 1952, Baba came as usual in Adi's car. They picked up Papa Jasawala from Sarosh Motors. Baba remarked that he hadn't been able to sleep at all the night before. At Mehrabad, he inquired about everyone's health. Those suffering from either a cold or cough were asked to sit at a distance from Baba. He teased, Nilu is feeling in tip-top shape, so go sit near him where you are free to sneeze as much as you like. Baba then put this question to the group. Who is worrying? No hand was raised. Baba then said, I am very pleased to see that no one is worrying. You are all bokas, which means tomcats, that is, you're hearty. Of course, you must think seriously and be very careful about two things. Firstly, about remembering God, and secondly, about the duty I have entrusted to you. So be careful, but do not worry. As for me, I had no sleep. All the time I was worrying mostly about the programs of the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 14th of November. Yet these days I feel mostly happy. I do not know why. There was a certain period at Sakori in 1921 to 1922, when I felt very happy. In the new life, at the Hyderabad meeting in 1951, I experienced happiness, although it was of a different type. Perpetual divine bliss and God's bliss are different. When I went to Bombay some days after my contact with Babajan, 1915, I was experiencing the state of infinite suffering. It was individual suffering. I used to lie on a bench for 12 to 14 hours. During those days, I had no sleep at all. I felt as if some electric motor was set working within me for 24 hours. And the impressions of all the world were operating in me. It was the most miserable and the most happy state. It was all an individual experience, individual happiness and individual suffering. Divine bliss and God's bliss are different. Nowadays, the happiness that I derive is personal and individual. Baba was in a cheerful mood. Some incidents of his new life were related. Afterwards, he told the Japwalas, I have bowed down to God through you, so you must do it, the japa and reading, on my behalf with all your heart. And because you love me, you must help me 100%. Do not worry about anything. Have no mental strain. You have nothing to do with this work or its result. You are not doing this for yourselves. But as I want to do it through you, try your best so that I feel and God sees that I have worshiped him with all my heart. Baba then asked Padri to bring the chart in which the 10 states of God were illustrated. And the sidebar says the 10 states of God are described in God Speaks, pages 168 to 201. Baba explained, in this chart, the 10th state is named as the beyond state, and the 9th state is named as the beyond state of God. Baba explained all 10 states and added, the beyond state is referred to by Hindus as Parat Par Parabrahma, and by the Sufis as Wara ur Wara. This beyond state is within everyone. But even if you think deep and deep and deep, it is impossible to comprehend that state. Being in the state of a devotee, I am invoking this beyond state of God. Baba bowed down to Vibhuti and Balna too, and asked Vibhuti to go near the Duni and repeat Om Parabrahma Paramatma. Continuing his explanation of the chart, Baba stated, all that exists is God. All that does not exist is also God. Now what else is left? But that too is God. It is so, a fact. Some may say, Baba, you spell these words on the board, but what of actual experience? To them I say, wait. Baba asked Daulat Singh to repeat the prayer of Guru Nanak, Tum Thakur Tum Pe Ardas, meaning, you are Lord and I surrender to you. Then Baba asked all the Japwalas to repeat aloud, one by one, the names of God that they had been repeating in the Jopti. Baba stated, take God's name sincerely, for God may hear someone and be touched. After a short interval for lunch, Baba again started explaining the chart. All is God. In this chart, there is a hint. It is that everything rests on seven stages of the descent, 7 stages of the ascent, 7 stages of the third journey. Today, I want to make clear what I mean by stalemate in the evolution of consciousness. Creation is a game of unconscious divinity becoming conscious God. God is most finitely conscious in stone and is fully conscious in man. God in man is the same God who is in stone, metal, vegetable, etc. The development of consciousness is a gradual process. In man, the evolution of form and the unfoldment of consciousness have come to an end, but man does not realize himself as God. What is this that caused this mess? Why should not man realize himself as God when he gets a perfect form? The impressions of the gross world that stick 100% to the individual as he goes on evolving the form caused this deadlock. God wanted consciousness to know himself, but when he gets full consciousness, instead of knowing himself, he sees the world. He knows the gross world and knows impressions. Rosalie, are you ready to continue with?
Yes, okay. Oh, although it is possible for a man to know himself as God, what is it that draws him away? It is the power of the impressions of the first 6 stages of the first descent. Only when all these impressions are spent up, one knows himself as God. So, for this purpose, a man has to be born again and again in the human form. This is what I mean by a stalemate. While explaining these details, Baba closed his eyes and slowly opened them to indicate the gradual unfoldment of consciousness. When his eyes were opened completely, Baba looked around at all things, but not at his own body. This, he explained, can well be likened to the man who, having fully developed consciousness in a perfect form, knows all other things except himself as God. Pointing to the state of God in the beyond state, Baba explained, this state of God is beyond the comprehension even of God in the beyond state. There is no beginning to it and no end to it. It is. When God in the beyond state begins to think of the beyond state, duality steps in. But first, in the beyond state, the appearance of such a thought is an impossibility. In the beginning, God is unconscious. Then he becomes conscious. Now, if he wants to know what the first experienced state of unconsciousness is, he will have to be unconscious again, which is impossible. Once the experience of consciousness of God is gained, it is eternal. Even if such a one takes millions of incarnations in the human form, it is not possible to experience the unconsciousness of the beyond state again. Yet, I say the beyond state exists, and it is the original state of all of us all. In the beyond state, everything exists, but as nothing. Baba concluded by saying, all this is an attempt to understand that which is beyond understanding. What is of real worth is actually to become God. Let us pray to God for this. Abdullah Jafar related his experience to Baba. He said, Baba, when I was repeating Allahu this morning, I was about to fall asleep. But that very moment, I saw you sitting on my bed, and this saved the near break in the continuous repetition of God's name. Baba mentioned the names of the Mandali who kept guard at night near his room, commenting, in the West, for 3 months, Nilu hardly slept a few minutes a day. Also, I remember well, Baba Jan used to sit all night without sleep. She used to lie down for only an hour from 5 to 6 a.m. Abdullah Jafar, who was an asthmatic, had trouble repeating God's name while seated. So he would stand from 3 to 5 a.m. and say God's name. Because he had almost fallen asleep, Nanakar was instructed by Baba to keep him company and thus make certain that there was no break in the repetition. From that night on, Nana had to remain with Abdullah and also with Gadakar, since he too suffered from asthma. On one occasion, while repeating God's name, Alaba burst out weeping, and the continuity was broken. Nanakar ran up to him immediately and himself began repeating Allahu. A person who was to attend the upcoming meetings was known then as Krishna Swami, a native of Kerala. Krishna Swami, 22, sported long hair and a beard and wore a robe typical of sadhus. After coming into Baba's contact, he was called Krishnaji. After hearing certain information about him, Baba remarked, he tries to impress all with his love, even me. At present, I have gotten into the habit of bowing down to one who may be a yogi, a saint, or a must. Baba stated that from the 7th to the 9th of November, no one should try to go near him within 10 feet. Only those who are asked to come near should come. Although about 300 persons will be here, I want a peaceful atmosphere. At the time of mass darshan, I do not expect this because then people will make such a grand rush, even to the extent of plucking out my hair. Baba fixed the time of reading the Avesta, Bible, Quran, and Gita on the 5th. He also asked the 5 men concerned to collect the necessary things for the ceremony. Let us represent properly, was Baba's remark. Baba next listened to music. After again hearing the song, "O holder of the secret, even if you were to be beheaded, do not reveal it," Baba commented, "The secret can be talked about, but to know it is an entirely different order of experience. Bed, the secret, knowledge, is not connected with intellect. Instead, it is closely related to feelings, and if indiscreetly disclosed, creates chaos." To make the point clear, Baba related a story of a Pathan and a Marwari, exemplifying a sudden outburst of emotion which transformed a man's nature by the utterance of certain words. A stout and sturdy Pathan and a weak, scrawny Marwari were not on good terms. The Marwari hated the Pathan, but owing to his size, he was unable to give him the beating he felt he deserved. Once he saw the Pathan at a distance coming toward him. He gathered some of his Hindu friends near him and said, "Friends, this Pathan is a very treacherous fellow. Though I behave with him in the most polite way, he treats me very rudely. I will prove it to you. Please help me to teach him a good lesson." By this time, the Pathan came near. The Mariwari, with a smiling face, shook hands with him and embraced him. But as he did so, he whispered in his ear, "You are son of a pig." These words were enough to rouse the feelings of the Pathan and make him fly into a rage. He began to hit the Mariwari. Not knowing the real situation, those who were standing nearby sided with the Mariwari, and the Pathan got a sound thrashing. Baba related this with such animated gesturing, imitating so perfectly the Mariwari, the Pathan, and their fight, that everyone was laughing heartily. This concluded the evening meeting, and Baba left for Marazad. Returning the next morning at 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, 4 November 1952. Baba inquired about the health of everyone present. He was in a happy mood. He summoned the 5 priests, Kaikabad, Kalimama, Ramju, Murli, and Daulat Singh. Murli had not yet come, so someone went to bring him. Baba cracked. He is so lazy that even if I were to promise him God realization, he would not come on time. When Murli came, Baba asked each of the 5 to repeat 7 times a short prayer he dictated glorifying God. Ramju was to read from the Quran on Baba's behalf the next day, but he had a cold, so Baba remarked, May he be relieved of his cold by tomorrow. He then suggested, what if he takes medicine from Baidul? With Baidul, there is no such thing as checking or studying one's symptoms. Baidul administers his medicine in his own way, and the patient is either totally cured or his heart beats no more. Baba gestured, as there will be a special and serious program beginning 7 November, let us have some light talk today. Faram was not feeling well, and Baba commented, why worry, Faram? Perhaps you will outlive all of us. Gustaji, Baba continued, is the one who is always in perfect health. He was the one who had no complaints about his health when we were in the West. He likes ice cream, and there he had that aplenty. So he was in a good mood as well. Sometimes he says, if you want me to live for 125 years in perfect health, give me a dozen bananas each day. Baidu likes non-vegetarian dishes, and when he gets them, he forgets everything else. To Aloba, Baba remarked, now eat, drink, and be merry. From the 15th, our Karbala life begins. Footnote. Baba was referring to the desolate spot in Iraq called Karbala, where Hussein, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, was martyred. By this time, Anna 104 had arrived. Baba stated, I always feel happy to see Anna with his peculiar dress and mannerisms. Anna loves buttermilk, but even more than this, he likes chewing tobacco. When he talks to others with his mouth full of tobacco and spit, it is hard to understand what he is mumbling. Baba then began to discuss some particular work. He instructed Adi to print in English and Hindi 7 of his messages about the fiery free life, which were to be delivered on the Darshan tour. Footnote. 10,000 copies of each message were to be printed, and 2,000 copies of all messages in one booklet. After giving some day-to-day instructions to various mandali, Baba discussed with Erich the important items on the 8th November program. In the end, he remarked, Allah is the giver and the receiver is Bismillah, God the most merciful. While discussing matters with the group that morning, a bedbug was discovered in Baba's Gadi mattress. Baba was upset and reprimanded the mandali for not being more careful. He looked at them reprovingly and snapped in Gujarati, I am trapped in the hands of these devils. During the break for lunch, Baba's seat and mattress were put in the sun and the entire hall swept and cleaned. In the afternoon, Baba stated, from 15 November, I will be out on tour. April end will be the end of me, of you, and of all. Baba talked with the mandali about the forms he had sent with Erich and Pendu to be filed in by those who were ready to follow him of their own accord. Minu Karas was to sort them out later. Baba commented at length. Until now, I had not sent out forms of this kind. Really, I do not expect a paisa sent, if not given with love. Even though at present I do not have a single pai. However, today, in spite of being the poorest of the poor, I have resolved to plunge into the ocean of divine fire. Now, even if someone offers me a big sum, I will not accept it.
Thank you, Rosalie. Marvin, could you unmute? Oh, he might not be at his machine. How about Eva? Can you unmute?
Sure. Where do I start?
At the
At the
top. Mhm.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In the West, I met with an accident. With my face swollen, my arm in a sling, and legs plastered, I had to lie quietly in the bed. Even then, people came to see me. They remarked that I looked beautiful and radiant. It was as though their love that they saw me as being beautiful. From letters, I am informed that at present, so many persons in the West are having miraculous experiences about me. They write that they saw me there, but honestly, I do not know anything of this, even 1%. How can I know this when I do not do this? If you think I consciously do and know all these miracles, you are under a false impression. Then who did it? God did it for me. And after November 15, he will make me do it and know it. What I mean to say is that God does everything. Baba then remarked about God's Leela, play or sense of humor. God's Leela is divine fun. It is the expression of the divine sense of humor on the part of his great ones. And as such, volumes can be written about God's. And scroll down, please.
And as such, volumes can be written about God's sense of humor.
The ordinary sense of humor is present in every individual, more or less, and it does not undergo any change merely on account of any spiritual advancement or because of the divine enlightenment of the individual. Not only the sense of humor, but the ordinary individual humor as a whole of a person remains unchanged, no matter how far one is advanced or one is enlightened. The scope and range of God's sense of humor through avatars, prophets, perfect masters, and saints, however, differ according to the scope and range of their respective duties in accordance with the prevailing time and circumstances. But the form of the expression of and the extent of the response to the sense of humor, both ordinary and divine, depends upon the original nature of God's great ones. Whether I am Avatar or Satan, one thing is certain, and that is I have a great, and scroll down, please, sense of humor. It is my sense of humor that makes me rejoice to see Anna 104 and happy to listen to the irrelevant talk of Baba Das.
May we all.
Yeah. The more he talks, the more I like him. It would be no exaggeration to say that Baba Das is infinitely irrelevant. When Baba Das referred earlier to Kalidas, the great poet, and to Surdis, the great devotee, there was absolutely no connection between the two. The topic in question and Baba Das himself, except for the common factor of the word.
Das.
You have something in front of Das, okay, slave at the end of all three names. Ana 104's type of personality is more than enough to exhaust the patience of saints and sages and forbearance of rishis and munis. And all here are practically anti-Ana. I know that most of you here would heave a sigh of relief the moment Ana were to be out of the picture. You also know that I cannot help humoring both him and Baba Das, and that at times I go far out of my way in order to keep them near me. The one point on which none of us here can differ about this precious pair is that according to their respective abilities and capacities, both of them have rendered great and more or less unique service to me. And I also know that both love me sincerely. Baba then mentioned different incidents in the lives of the past avatars, which illustrated their sense of humor. It is said that once Rasul-i Khuda, the messenger of God, felt indisposed, and someone suggested that it was due to an evil eye and that he should sleep on a pillow with an open knife underneath it. He did so and thereafter declared himself to be all right. Call it ordinary or call it divine. It was Muhammad's sense of humor. It is a fact that during the childhood of his grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, the prophet predicted the Moharram Karbala battle to his daughter Fatima, the mother of the martyrs. Now, if the prophet, who in fact turned the then savages of Arabia into the torchbearers of faith, love, and truth for the world, did not even try to avoid the greatest tragedy in Islam or to stop the most horrible end for his own and only two grandsons, that was only because of God's divine sense of humor in Muhammad. Likewise, the strife between the Kauravas and the Pandavas and the consequent bloodshed was not only due to the divine sense of humor in Krishna, but its height was reached when Krishna himself died through an arrow that accidentally struck one of his legs from the bow of an ordinary hunter who never had any intention of harming the Rangila, colorful, playful avatar in any way. And footnote, the Kauravas and Pandavas are two clans who fought each other during Krishna's advent. The kind-hearted Jesus knew very well that his nearest disciple would betray him and thus lead to his crucifixion. But because of the divine sense of humor, Christ could not help getting himself crucified, although the world rightly continues to look upon him as the savior of humanity. The funniest divine sense of humor was on the part of Buddha when he died of simple dysentery. though is medicine for the spiritual bamaris, illnesses of mankind, holds the key to this day. In short, except
Holds the field. Holds
I'm sorry.
the, though his medicine for the
Oh,
spiritual
I'm sorry. Yeah,
bemaris.
or the yes of mankind holds the field to this day. In short, except for a change in the circumstances, the atmosphere and the surroundings, the same old story goes on, repeating again and again, which by itself proves the divine sense of humor or the Leela of God. The manifestation of the divine sport or Leela, however, depends upon the great ones of God who achieve the oneness with God, and thus, in spite of raising themselves above the law of duality, they still retain the divine sense of humor to uphold the universal law of ignorance through which knowledge divine is achieved.
I've lost your audio, Eva. I'll just read that.
Achieved for all eternity. At the time of my car accident and of my own sense of humor, as to how thoroughly battered, bruised, and literally helpless and hopeless I was when lying with broken bones in a pool of my own blood, together with my dearest ones. Yet I maintained my silence and my consciousness throughout the crisis and the long period of convalescence. Pointing to his ring finger, Baba remarked about musts. Musts are jewels. They work for me and share my spiritual work. They are a great help to me. In April, they will be hailed for their work and help to me. Baba recalled some musts who had undergone the most severe type of penance and then stated, in the whole world, there are 1 lakh men of God, Marj-e Khuda. These, with their lives on their sleeves and complete control over mind, strive for God realization. After a number of ages, one among them gets God realization. This is not extreme pessimism, but optimism. Is not Vedanta full of statements such as, I am God? We are all God. This is a fact. Is it not optimism? Turning to Pleader, Baba gestured. Pleader has become so desperate, he cries out, why talk about the height of optimism or the infinite ocean of love? I would be satisfied with just a spoonful of it. I do not want the ocean, but the fact is, if you get 1 spoonful, it becomes very difficult to get the ocean. That very taste would become an obstacle and you're merging in the ocean. A spoonful can be compared with the valley which lies between the 6th and 7th planes of consciousness. In that stage, you stand facing God. You call him, but do not get any response. And it becomes very hard to be one with God, the infinite. So when I give the ocean, not a drop. In Sufism, the number of walis and kutubs is quoted. Only a kutub can know such things. Today, I am absolutely in the state of a devotee. So what I say is what I guess. But I am sure of one thing. Within me, I am 100% confident that by the end of April, things will not be as they are now for the world, for all of you and for me. It will be a real end. So I say, wait, wait. God helps those who have patience. God says, wait, I will meet you. And I say, the time has come. Have patience till April end. As you have lived with me for so many years, I think that you too might be thinking and feeling as I do. In the Darbar court of Asad Guru, history repeats itself. But the beauty of equally in patience and impatience, and in faith and suspicion as well. This is their Leela. Again, it is said that those who think they earnestly long to see God never see him. It is so. Some think that their longing is limitless. Even accepting the above statement, it can always be said that there is always some kasar deficiency in them. For God, who is equally in us all, is very, very eager and ready to meet us. So what is needed is 100% preparedness. When you come in contact with the masters, they see that this is done. Even for this, a certain Gahadi moment is fixed. Sant Tukaram says it is of no use to be impatient, for the final opportune time is fixed. And I think that my Gahadi, the most opportune time, lies in April. So let us earnestly hope that what I feel may come true by God's grace, to be the real Gahadi at the end of April for us all.
Thank you,
You're
Eva. Marvin, could you unmute, please?
Baba asked Meherji to read out of the clippings from different newspapers about Ajal Kerawala. Baba stated, Ajal obeyed me 100% without any complaint and with absolute faith. Indeed, such obedience and faith is rare. Baba listened to a few records of the late maestro Abdul Karim Khan, but did not look pleased while they were played, and was only happy when he heard his selected ghazals. He recalled some incidents in Manzil Amin, which revealed the Herculean bodily strength he possessed previously. I had such strength, he stated, that when a fiery mood possessed me, people used to hide, even in the bathrooms. And look at me now. The septum of my nose is broken. My feet are swollen. I cannot walk well. The same strength is now expressed in bearing suffering. What a change. Before Baba left for Merazad in the evening, Sadashiv Patil was instructed to visit Alandi, about 20 miles from Pune, the following morning, and offer his respects on Baba's behalf at the tomb of the perfect master Dayaneshwar. On Wednesday, 5 November 1952, Baba returned to Mehrabad in the morning. He remarked, "The day is a very important day for me. Be sincere and serious about the duties entrusted to you, whether these are in the Agra Kuti or Jopti or elsewhere." He then prepared for the prayers by the 5, quote, priests, unquote. A copy of each holy book had been placed on a table to his left. Eric stood nearby to assist him. First, Baba sat on a cushion on the floor, applied a red dot to his forehead in the manner of Orthodox Hindus, tied a silk cord around his waist, and lit a prayer lamp which had 7 wicks. At 8:30 a.m., Kalamama began the morning's program by reciting a Sanskrit couplet by Valmiki, praising Ram, followed by a selection from the Dyaneshwari.
I think a way of saying that is to just put a Dnayaneshwari, like a duh sound.
Dyaneshwari. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, let's see the footnote. Valmiki, the author of the Ramayana, is the life of Ram, is considered among the greatest of Indian poets. He was a hermit who built a shelter in the jungle for Sita when she was banished by Ram.
And we're reading that at the moment in
Another meeting.
yeah. Very nice.
At 9 o'clock, Baba stood near Kaikobad, who represented a Zoroastrian, tied the sacred thread around his waist, and put on a black Parsi cap. Kaikobad then read from the Avesta for half an hour. Baba asked him to repeat the 101 names of God also. At the end, Baba gave the cap he wore to Pleader and the kusti to Kaikobad, and bowed down to him, as he did to each of those who read. Ramju was next. First, he offered namaz, as Baba bowed quietly, with his head touching the floor. Ramju then read from the Quran until 10 a.m. At the completion of the Muhammadan portion, Baba walked to his gadi and hung a cross around his neck. Murli stood before him wearing a long gown. Baba remarked, "You looked exactly like a Christian priest." The Lord's Prayer was recited, and then the Sermon on the Mount. When Murli finished, Baba took off the cross and gave it to him to keep. Last to step forward was Daulat Singh. At 10:30, he began reading from the Granth Sahib. Before he started, Baba placed around his waist a steel bracelet like that of a Sikh. By 11 o'clock, the reading came to an end, and prasad was distributed to all. It was a very solemn and serious ceremony, and Baba, acting as the perfect devotee, was very devout throughout it. He left without making any comments and went to the interview cabin, Kaikobad's former cottage, opposite the hall. While Baba was in his cabin, Sarosh informed him that Mera's mother, Daulat Mai, had died in Nasik. She was 76 years old. When Baba returned to the hall in the afternoon, he disclosed the news to all. Today is a very important day, and a fine day too. Sarosh told me that Daulat Mai expired today at 4 a.m. of heart failure. We'll take a look at the footnote. She actually died at 6 a.m. according to Adi's diary. She had kept perfect silence since 1933, and it is said that she had a peaceful end. My dear Daulat Mai will live in me forever, by God's grace. I say by God's grace because today I am in the state of a devotee. The question of printing a circular about Daulat Mai's death for distribution among his close women disciples was discussed and agreed to by Baba. Later, a tombstone for her was erected on Mehrabad Hill. It read, Daulat, one of Baba's dearest lovers, observing silence for 20 years. And the footnote, Daulat Mai's date of birth on her tombstone, 1883, is incorrect. She was born circa 1876. Pleader asked Baba, what is the use of getting circulars printed about those who have expired? For it is said, with our death dies the world, or submerged is the world. Pleader's remark was sufficient for Baba to give all a good idea about those who die the real death and those who are on different planes. He first quoted this couplet from Kabir. Discard the body, it remains. preserve the body, it goes. The astounding fact emerges that the corpse devours death. Baba then continued dictating to explain. People die in all sorts of ways, but it is nothing to be upset about. They are born again and again in different gross bodies. But during one's lifetime, one should do whatever one honestly feels without getting attached to actions. Changing bodies between lifetimes is similar to changing a coat. Some die young, such as those who died at the time of India's partition. Some live long lives. They do not change their coats often, like Gustaji. Footnote. Gustaji was in the habit of wearing a tattered old coat with patches and was reluctant to change his clothes. So they do not change their coats often, like Gustaji, but when Gustaji was with me on the recent trip to the West, he became well-dressed and maintained a neat and clean appearance. Baba continued. The masti, divinely intoxicated state, of musts neutralizes heat, cold, and disease. This is an established fact. Musts do not worry about keeping their bodies healthy, that they possess strong physiques. It is because in such cases, the power of Vidnayan, knowledge, that vibrates the universe, sustains their bodies and looks after them. The infinite power of Vidnayan descends from itself to Manobhumi, the mental planes, to help such souls. However, if the slightest thought of retaining the body or bodily strength crops up, the repetition of this power stops. The reception of this power stops. In a way, the must is really dead. The same stands true for a Madzub or Baal Umant Pishash, a God-realized soul with childlike habits. Madzubs have no connection with this world, and in this sense, quote, the corpse eats up death, unquote. It is impossible for scientists to know about this power. They have discovered either electrons and protons. They have discovered at ether, electrons and protons, but they have not and cannot reach even the fringe of the subtle world. Vedanta says, those on the gross plane live in Anabhumi, gross plane. Those on the Pran-bhumi, subtle plane, live on energy. Those from the Manobhumi live in Akash, heaven, sky, space. And those from Vidnayan Bhumi live in the Suraj, sun. One soul is united with the oversoul. One whose soul is united with the oversoul lives in the sun. Kutubs and the Avatar live in the sun, but not the sun that you see in the sky. It is an altogether different sun. It is the source of infinite power, infinite bliss, beauty, sound, knowledge, etc. Every attribute of this sun is infinite. The infinite Tej, divine fire, effulgence, that exists eternally, first passes through the mental planes and then through the subtle planes until it reaches the gross plane.
No.
Computer's not cooperating, trying to change the page here. Ah, is that it?
Yep.
At present, those who are in the subtle sphere wear clothes like you. They have their wives and children. They borrow their power from Manobhumi. They can use this power either for good or bad purposes. Those in the mental sphere borrow their power from the Vidnayan Bhumi, the power of God. Those on the sixth plane see God everywhere. They use their power, but it is always for the good of others. A Majzub is, after all, a king. But now let us turn to musts again. Musts are God-intoxicated souls. They have drunk the wine of love divine. They are not consciously conscious of their bodies. They do not seek to gain the power from Manu Bhumi, but God, of his own accord, showers this power on them and looks after them. So Hafiz, in one of his couplets, has said, "Drink deep the cup of madness, so that your worries are taken over by others." The power of the walis and pirs stationed on the fifth and sixth planes is very great, but they use it for the good of others. One on the fourth plane can use his power either for good or bad ends. Those who eternally lead the life of God are the saviors of the universe, and they live in the Suraj, the divine sun. At 2:30 p.m., Sadashiv Patil arrived from Alandi, where he had bowed at the tomb of Dinayeshwar, and Baba placed his head on his feet. Sadashiv said that at 8:30 a.m. in Alandi, he found that a Mahapuja, a large worship ceremony, had been arranged lasting until 9 a.m., the exact period during which Baba was occupied in listening to the reading of the Danayaneshwari in Mehrabad Hall. Baba explained, "I have a very close connection with Danayeshwar, so I sent Sadashiv to Alandi." The circular regarding Dalit Mai's passing was prepared, and Erich read it out to Baba. Baba stated, "Today I am in the state of a devotee, so how can I say that she has come to me?" Naraman interjected, "You as a devotee today is an issue between yourself and God, but for us disciples, you are always our beloved master." Baba replied, "The question is clear. Hypocrisy is useless. God is now present here more than every one of us. He knows everything. So what I say today stands good for this day. What I have been saying all these days was for all those days. In April, what I say shall stand good. But today I am a devotee 100%.
Thanks, Marv. Ralpha, are you able to read now? Unmute if you can. How about
I'm pretty tongue-tied. Yeah, I can't see. No, I cannot read. I'm sorry.
okay.
I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you. Arca Samanta, would you like to read? Unmute if you want to. Okay, well, I'll take a few minutes then too. Today I can say that the patience of some, the love of some, and the faith of some of you makes me feel that you are more devoted to God than I. When I see today the patience, longing, love, faith of you all, I feel that God will fulfill our desires, if we have any, in April. So today I must not give up my stand of a devotee. So add the words, God's will, in the circular. About Sadhguru Danayaneshwar, Baba elucidated. He was very young. The unique thing is that the whole family got realization. Danayaneshwar had realization within his teens and has written very beautiful lines on Guru Bhakti, which means devotion to a guru. Nivruti, his elder brother, was his guru. Sopan, his younger brother, and Muktabai, his sister, too were realized souls. And God knows what depth of experience they had. Bayezid, the Sardar or leader of Sufis, got realization at the age of 90. Even if someone 99% spiritually prepared dies, he has to take a body again for the remaining 1% preparedness. In such cases, realization is achieved either in childhood or after 60 years of age. In Sufism, all such points like grades, types, and sects of walis, the range of work and heritage, and other subtle details on the path have been clearly and specifically mentioned. They have classified even the perfect ones according to their duties towards the world. Camille is the perfect one. Akmal, the most perfect one. Most Mukamil, the supremely perfect one. And Saheb as Zaman, avatar in parentheses, is beyond Mukamil. As for Nabis, which are prophets or Sadgurus or Kutubs, to call them perfect would be childish. It is clear that perfection implies no imperfection. But it is said that in a kutub, there is, quote unquote, infinite perfection and infinite imperfection simultaneously. After telling the story of the saint Abdul Hussein Wali, Baba made a reference to the Empire State Building. If you stand on the topmost story of the building and have a look at the street below, persons would appear to you like worms. Then how insignificant and small would man appear to those who have experienced the highest state of consciousness? Indeed, the glory of knowledge is indescribable, immeasurable. Baba asked the Mandali to tell funny stories or lively jokes. Afterwards, he instructed all to wash their faces and hands. Then the names of God from different religions were repeated aloud. At its completion, Baba observed, "I am not feeling well now, but I must be in good health to carry out the work on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of November. Some days before the Hyderabad meeting, I felt very weak and nervous, but Nilu told me that I would be quite well by the time of the meeting. And it was a surprise to me that I remained so lively and active during those days." That period reminded me of my life in Manzil Amim. It is all God's grace and nothing else. Let us see what happens now. Thus ended the day's program. At about 9 a.m. Thursday, 6 November 1952, Baba again asked everyone to wash their faces and hands. Nilu was taking a bath and arrived late. when all had regathered in the hall, the names of God from different religions were repeated 7 times each by Nilu, Padri, Baidul, and Erich. When everyone had sat down, Baba joked, "I forgive Nilu for his late arrival, and in return, he should bear with me for not giving him any sweets." Baba asked Goma Ganesh to read the poems he had composed. Baba appeared pleased with the work Goma had done for the welfare of the children in his school, Baba Wadi, whose opening Baba had attended 4 years before. Baba remarked to him, "I am busy, and if we want to finish by 11 a.m., let us talk about the practical side of your work. Until now, you did your best for the Baba Wadi children. And you want to spend the rest of your life for the same purpose. So tell me, what is your future program?" Goma Ganesh replied that he was starting educational work in the villages. Baba stated, "I feel most happy to hear this. I give my blessings. Do your work without any worry or fear. Do not hesitate to pursue it. I will be with you in your honest endeavor to serve children." Start on November 15, 1952. Baba further stated, "Childhood is the state of real godhood, but children are unconsciously conscious of this. In Bal Unmant Pishash, meaning Amajzub, Balavasta, meaning childhood, dominates, and the Bal Unmant Pishash is consciously conscious of his godhood. The whole universe serves as a toy for his game." Slamson then read a letter to Baba from Vishandas Maharaj, the must saint who had been brought to Merzad from Indore during Baba's Manonash phase of work in January 1952. Vishandas Maharaj had written, Rosalie, does Jonathan want to read? Is he busy?
Yeah, hold on.
Great.
I just came in.
Oh, cool. Well,
Fiery Free Life. Wow. On October 23rd at 3 p.m., before a gathering of 500 persons, I have opened a spiritual center in your name in Indore. I have placed there your 3 large-size photographs. I have lighted a flame which I want to remain lit forever. I also wish to open a new center in Kalyan. The completion of the work at Kalyan will be done by God's will. The saint expressed his deep feelings towards Baba and wished that Baba's name and work gather momentum day by day. He also expressed a desire to have Baba's darshan, to which Baba stated, "After April." Baba directed Slamson, who was from Indore, to tell Vishandas Maharaj to continue the work he was doing for him. He then quoted this Persian couplet: "Do what you like with God the Absolute, but be very careful with walis and mus." Baba explained walis, saints, who borrow power from the Vidyan Bhumi, 7th plane, do not hesitate to use it, sometimes wiping off the best sanskars of those who play mischief with them. Wallis are independent. They are not bound to do either good or evil. Thus, their contact may give one a great spiritual push, or it may retard one's spiritual progress. The Sadguru is like an ocean. He does not give anything, but when he gives the ocean, and you become realized. Baba quoted the instance of Ramakrishna Paramahansa of Calcutta and his disciple Swami Vivekananda. Erich narrated some incidents from Vivekananda's life, which showed how he tested his guru in many ways. Baba concluded, had Vivekananda come in contact with a wali, saint, instead of a Sadguru like Ramakrishna, he would have been doomed for life. In the afternoon at 1:30, the Arangan Bhajan, the Arangan Bhajan group sang before Baba. At 2:55 p.m., a Qawwali program began by Habib Nizami Qawwal of Ahmednagar. His performance was so touching that Padri, Balnatu, Minu Karas, Meherji, and others started weeping. Oliver became so overwrought with emotion, he banged his head against the wall and had to be physically restrained. Baba commented, tears that stream down the cheeks without your being aware of them are very difficult to control. But if restrained, they give more happiness. You will find greater joy in the inner companionship with your beloved. This path is closely connected with feelings. Some who possess a pure and sensitive heart feel that they should go on shedding tears for years and years in memory of their beloved God. In some cases, the individual becomes unconscious of his outer surroundings. Some stand at a place for years. Some stand raising one hand upward. The state of Mukam e Hayrat, enchanted with the enchantment of the plains. Although such types of experiences are beyond control, yet they are temporary. Only those who experience this behoshi unconsciousness consciously are safe. However, if you can experience within your heart a continuous and deep longing for the beloved without any external sign, so much the better. Weep within continuously. Outwardly remain normal and cheerful. The music program ended at 5 that afternoon. Baba asked all to wash their faces and hands again, and the names of God from the 4 different religions were repeated. As Baba got down from his gadi, he turned to Nanakar and asked, "Why are you growing a beard?" Nana answered, "My beard is so tough, letting it grow is easier than shaving." Baba teased him, "It is good that you did not get married, because your wife might not have liked the sight of a bearded husband." While leaving the hall, Baba urged all to have a good rest and keep well for the coming 3 days. The next morning, Friday, 7 November 1952, Baba arrived from Marazad at 7:30 a.m. for the first of a scheduled 3 days of meetings. Most of those invited had arrived by 2 early morning trains. Baba entered the hall at 9:45 a.m., and all were overjoyed to have have him in their midst once more. The Pune Bhajan group sang until 10:30 a.m. During the singing, someone asked Baba how he was doing after the accident. Baba replied, "I am well due to your dua, blessings, and God's dua. Mine is God's, and God's means yours. And so this circle of blessings goes on. All is bondage. There is nothing except one. And to call him one is also ignorance. He is I, and everything is he. Only the experience of that oneness has got to be gained. All else is your kirpa, blessings. I am before the beginning was, and so are you." Baba concluded, "I have now tasted the injury as it had never before been tasted." After the bhajans, Baba remarked to Deshmukh, "I feel I will be free in April." Deshmukh replied, "Baba, you are eternally free." Baba responded, "I am eternally bound, but from time to time I set myself free. God willing, this time it could be by the end of April. I will make this point clear tomorrow." He dictated to the group, "Tomorrow being a very important day for me, I want every one of you to be here all day. Being here means to be here with heart and soul, not thinking of your families and other worries. Therefore, I want to express on you very seriously that tomorrow you should all have your mind on what I say, explain, declare, and decide." With a smile, he added, "Deshmukh should not think of his family members in Nagpur." Looking at the gathering, Baba stated, "I have just now taken the stand of one who seeks the truth. And why? That I will explain tomorrow. So you will all have to pay full attention tomorrow and try to grasp what I say." Baba is taken as the avatar or Sadguru or perfect master. But for Baba to take the stand of a devotee has the greatest significance. Why? I will explain tomorrow. So all you have to do is to grasp tomorrow what I declare. After ages and ages, the time has now come for the real revelation of the infinite in the universe. So the fiery free life, which begins on 15 November and ends at the end of April, will reveal that only God is real and all else is illusion. So now take rest after this program is over, and I will call you one by one for interviews in the afternoon. Tomorrow there should be no thought outside of Mehrabad. That is why I have called you here from such long distances. Now go wash your hands and faces and come back here to repeat God's names from the 4 different religions." When all had returned to the hall, Baba conveyed, "God is present right here now, in you all and in me. So let us take his name sincerely and wholeheartedly, so that he who is within us is touched. Don't speak aloud when the names are repeated. Only repeat silently and think that he is within us and hears us all." Baba too washed his face and hands and solemnly stood by his seat Everyone present stood. The names of God were repeated 7 times each by Nilu, Padri, Baiduo, and Erich. At 11 a.m., Baba asked everyone except the Hamirpur group to disperse. After talking with them for a little while, Baba went for his lunch. In the afternoon, he gave personal interviews. At 3:20 p.m., Baba came into the hall again. Ustadji garlanded him. Baba stated, "Tomorrow is the important day for me. Although time as such does not exist in eternity, for us on this plane, we have to consider time. According to that, tomorrow is a very important day for me. I will not only play the part of a devotee, but in all earnestness, I will feel myself as a devotee. Therefore, I have called a few selected ones to share in my most humble prayers to God, who is in us all and in whom we are all one. Tomorrow, I want you all to pay attention to what I say, explain, decide, and declare. At the end of April, God will manifest. That is what I am going to say tomorrow. So tomorrow morning, have a bath, or at least wash your hands and face, or at least wash your mind with your love for me, and join me wholeheartedly in my prayer. Nothing else. Let us not be hypocritical before God, who knows everything. For the past many years, I have been bowing down to monks and saints who, in love of God, have annihilated themselves. Now I bow down to the love of those who, with full faith and love me." More bhajans were then sung. At 4:30 p.m., Baba instructed everyone to wash their faces and hands and then come back in the hall. Baba inquired whether the Sauner group had arrived. When all had accommodated themselves in the hall, he continued, "Now God's names will be said as they were in the morning. Tomorrow I will say what I have to say or do what I have to do. Today I have taken the stand of a devotee 100%. So I will have to act according to it. And you all must cooperate with me. Tomorrow I will make my fiery life clear." At approximately 4:45 p.m., Baba washed his face and hands. God's names were then repeated aloud by the same 4 men in the same order. Then there was bhajan singing for about an hour by Gadakar, Tade, and Madhusudan. At its completion, Baba said, "For a few minutes, I am going to speak about dhyan, knowledge, which in Sufism is termed marifat, or certainty of becoming. There are 3 states of conviction: intellectual conviction, conviction through seeing, and conviction through becoming."
Thanks so much, Jonathan.
Mhm.
We'll pick up next week at page 3171.